Can you get a Premiere Pro video editing AI to do all of your work for you so you can just go sip a mimosa on the beach or whatever? How cool would it be if you could just dump all of your raw footage into the timeline, hit go, and let an AI spit out a final polished video, beautiful, ready for you to use? Well, the first plugin I have for you is called Spangle AI, and it purports to do exactly that. I already installed it. The way to open it up is go to Extensions, Spangle AI, and it'll open a little window inside of Premiere. And then you have to put in your login details there. I have as a test just a bunch of footage of me doing sick basketball shots with a kiddie basketball hoop. Then I also threw in some little bits of just like flowers blowing in the wind, a cute little lizard, etc. So the way this works is that it wants you to take the sequence that you want to edit, which is this right here, throw it in there, you hit analyze, and then it will kind of take a look at the entire thing, and it's already done. It's already done. And that was, about 2 minutes-ish of total footage that it had to analyze. So you go to it, you hit create, and then you tell it what you want it to do. I gave it a prompt of basically only use shots where I'm actually making the basketball, throw out everything where I miss. And then at the very end, I want it to use one of the clips of the flowers so that I can do a slow little fade out because it's going to be epic music. Put that epic music over the video, make it 10 seconds long, only use landscape stuff. Hit generate, and now it's going to work its magic on the back end. We'll see what it creates. And it's done. It created a new sequence of our little highlight reel, and we'll see what it created. Okay, makes the shot, makes the shot, makes the shot, makes the shot, and then the flowers at the end. So you'll notice a couple of things. One, it missed the part about only using landscape portions. Number two is that it didn't use the music at all. And then little thing here is, it cuts away a little too soon after this one, but I can just manually go edit it, pull that forward a little bit. There we go, there we go. And I'm fine with, it not using landscape or whatever. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to kind of do the final epic music, put that over it. So you'll note it didn't add any effects to this or anything like that. For fun, I'm going to put effects on myself. And here's what we got. Okay, so, it worked. It kind of worked. And honestly, as a person that is also building AI Premiere Pro video editing plugins, I have to say the fact that this works at all is incredibly impressive. And if you guys are happening to watch this right now, the guys who built this thing, well done to you. Keep up the good work. I'm excited to see what you produce in the coming years. I know that these guys, basically what they're doing is they're going after the wedding video market, and I actually think that makes a lot of sense. So of course, this AI isn't doing everything front to back, but it is doing a portion that is very mundane for video editors, which is culling and combing through hours and hours of, wedding footage or whatever footage, and then pulling out kind of the best parts. And it did it really fast. You can imagine that a way you could use this is you say, pull out all the cute shots of the bride and groom. It makes a sequence of that. And then you say, pull out all the shots of little cute kids. And then you can use those as building blocks to make a longer wedding video, saving you a bunch of time. So this is a slightly goofy example, of course, this highlight reel thing. But my other YouTube channel is a microscope YouTube channel. So we're going to actually try that and see how well it does. Okay, I have a new sequence. This is a bunch of microscope clips, and it's basically just me simply talking at the camera whilst pointing at microscopes, etc. So this is also a relatively simple edit for an AI to do because it's just looking at the speech. It doesn't have to analyze the videos at all and figure out, there's no B-roll to be putting around. It's one simple compacted video. So I'll hit analyze, let it do its thing, and we'll find out how well it works. Make me a helpful microscope video that pulls out all the best snippets of information. Make it compelling. This is about what the difference is between a compound and a stereo microscope is. Hit go. We'll see what it creates. And it's done. So let's see what it created. I'm not going to touch it at all. What is the difference between transmitted and reflected light in microscopy? By the way, epi-illumination, reflected light illumination, and incident illumination all mean the exact same thing. And that's because most microscopic objects are completely invisible in any way. And so what you Okay, so you can see here, it's not only kind of like not getting the start and the ends of when I'm talking, it's also pretty much incoherent. It's taking shots that don't really make sense getting put together and doing that. So, it doesn't work in all circumstances. This is clearly one circumstance where it does not work. I think they're doing like a 7-day free trial for their beta. I don't really know what their pricing is because they don't display it on their website, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But yeah, this if you do wedding videos or something where you just have tons and tons of footage, worth checking these guys out. There's another tool that I found that purports to do pretty much exactly the same thing, which is you throw in raw footage and then it goes and it makes videos for you. It's called AI Captain, and boy, oh, does their website look good. Look how professional this is. They have these clean rotating shots of the Premiere Pro doing the editing for you, and we'll try it out. We'll find out how well it works and what it does. AI Captain. Okay, it brought up a little window that then disappeared. Okay, so I wasn't even able to get their application to properly open up as I'm filming this thing. Not a great look, not gonna lie. But I thankfully was earlier. Before I shot this, I tested out all these tools so I could, learn them and get them working before I filmed this. And at that point, I was able to make a video using AI Captain, and here's the results. Oh, oh wait, AI Captain is suddenly opening. What? Okay, well, I guess it opened. Anyway, I'm not gonna go through the whole rigmarole of trying to get it to work. I already showed you what the final video was, and it clearly does not work as well as the other one. I gave it the exact same prompt where I wanted only shots of me making the basketball, only use landscape videos, and it didn't use any of it. The only thing that it did do was it added the music in that the other one wasn't able to do. So I would just pass on this one. Maybe in a couple years, once they've refined their whole setup, go and try it out again, but for right now, kind of unusable, and I haven't been able to get it to do any reasonable output. I think part of the problem with AI Captain is that they're going after too big of a fish. They're trying to make an AI video editor that can just fully replace humans, and I don't think that's the right way to be going about this. I think really what developers should be doing is making AI applications that do one very specific thing that's super repetitive, mundane, and boring for video editors, and just do that one thing really, really well. Next up, we have buzz rolls. Hey, this is the plugin that I made. Basically, it automates the process of selecting, downloading, and inserting B-roll on your behalf using AI based on what your video is about. Let me show you what it actually looks like inside of Premiere real quick. So here's the Buzz Rolls plugin. All you do is you just select the in and the out portion of the timeline that you want to get filled with B-roll. And then normally for most videos, you'd want to use the use audio for context option. This is basically letting the AI listen to what the video is about so that it can choose B-roll. But in this case, since there's not really any audio for it to go off of, because it's actually using the audio, not necessarily the visuals. So in this case, I'm just going to say basketball shot and then let it go find the B-roll for that. So in this case, I made a big enough section that it's going to go and find 2 B-roll clips, and then it's kind of working over here in the background. While that's doing it, another thing that I really like about this plugin that we kind of got for free, let me see if I can find it, and it actually just finished right there. So, surprise, it found some B-roll shots of people throwing baskets and balls into baskets. Another thing I really like about this plugin that we kind of got for free was that you can either select the in and the out portion manually with the I and the O key on your keyboard, or you can use text-based editing inside of Premiere which is this feature here, to select the portions of the transcript that you want to get covered by B-roll. And it does kind of the same thing there. Obviously, there's like no real transcript to this video because it's me just making a bunch of basketball shots and me telling the person filming, I said literally whatever to the person filming this. Right now, we're in beta and we need people to test this thing out, tell us what they like, what they don't like. So we're doing a special beta price of $9 a month. So if you get in now, you can be grandfathered into that $9 a month price even after we get out of beta. And of course, after it gets out of beta, we're going to increase the price up on that. I have another plugin that does something very specific. It's called Autopod. Their website also looks super fancy. They don't claim it is in beta mode, but this is definitely also a beta plugin. They're really going after the like podcasting kind of video editors. So they have 3 tools. One of them is the jump cut editor, which is a weird name because really what it does is that it cuts out all the silences. Multi-camera editor. This is if you are interviewing multiple people with different cameras, it'll automatically switch the camera to who's talking actively. And then the social clip creator, which is basically like, I made a YouTube long form video that's 16:9 landscape, and I want it to make a short form portrait mode video clip off of that. So I unfortunately was not able to get either of these to work for me. Social clip creator was crashing every time that I tried to use it. Multicam editor, I simply don't have test footage that I can really use that would work on that. So I was able to use the jump cut editor. And you hit create jump cuts, all video tracks must. It's upset that there's a little gap right there. Okay, create jump cuts. So now it should start doing something. And it did it. When should you use each one? By the way, Epiluminate. So that's a good example of what it did right there. It basically cut out the silence. By the way, right there in between them. So if you do a bunch of podcasting, this one might be worthwhile checking out. I wish I could give you more information about how good it actually is. So far, it seems marginally helpful. Next up, we have a plugin called Chat Video Pro. This is basically a plugin that all it does is it puts ChatGPT, image generation, and video generation all inside of Premiere Pro, which sounds awesome, right? That's like exactly what people think that AI means, is like, oh, let's make a bunch of AI video instead of having to go film B-roll and stuff like that. So this was actually our original thinking for when we were making buzz rolls as well. The original version of buzz rolls was exactly this plugin, but after talking to our testers and even just using it ourselves, we found a massive problem with doing this, and that is the cost. So for them, the way they're doing their pricing model is that they basically sell you this plugin for $55 lifetime, no subscription, and then you have to bring your own API keys. API keys are basically like your billing account that you have set up with, in this case, Google. Google's the ones that are making the AI generated videos that they're using, which sounds like it would work okay, except that it is insanely expensive. I'm talking 50 cents per second of generated video. So it does an 8-second clip per generation. That's $4 per clip. And then you have to remember that like it doesn't really get it right on the first time. And so you have to kind of let it regenerate 3 or 4 times in order to get the thing that you had in your mind. And then by that point, you're doing $12 to $16 for an 8-second portion of your video. So now imagine extending that to a 10-minute video. The prices just get out of control. And so we ended up doing a super hard pivot away from doing AI generated stuff to just instead using AI to look for already existing footage. And to extend the number of problems, it also only creates 720p video right now. So it's not even making full HD video, and it's definitely not making 4K video. So anyway, I wish these guys the best. One cool thing that their plugin does do that we never did, which actually is pretty sweet, is that they do put ChatGPT inside of Premiere Pro. And it's not like ChatGPT has the access to modifying your video or anything like that, but having a ChatGPT window inside of Premiere, you can basically say, hey, I need to slow down my sequence from this portion to this portion. How do I do that? It'll give you a step-by-step walkthrough how to do something that you don't necessarily know how to do. So it's really like a beginner tutorial tool. Super helpful for $50. That might be worth it to some people if you don't want to just have ChatGPT open another window and then just switch to the windows. But I would say also keep an eye on these guys, because maybe in a year or two, AI generated video will get cheap enough, it will get good enough that it's not suddenly so expensive. And a plugin like this could actually work super well for your needs. So keep an eye on it. So we've gone over some of the plugins that I found that are pretty sweet that do kind of more of the experimental AI side of things. But now I want to talk about the AI tools that I actually use and have been using in my own workflow for years now. And I can very confidently say have sped up my video editing production pipeline by about 2 times. Anybody that tells you that you can use AI video editing tools right now to 10x your workflow, they're lying. I'm sorry. Let's start out with Adobe Podcast. This thing is awesome. I love Adobe Podcast, specifically the enhanced speech tool. This is helpful for even before you start editing your video in the production phase. Like right now, me filming this video, I'm not using a lapel mic or a nice mic, a boom mic anywhere. I'm literally just using the mic input on my MacBook. And then I'm putting it into Adobe Podcast to clean up the audio and make it sound almost as good as a studio level sound. It works great. I love it. Um, it makes it so I don't have to fiddle with microphones, and that's awesome. It just makes things so much more convenient. Amazing. Usually when I'm making videos, I'm using a teleprompter. Surprise, I'm not using a teleprompter right now, but for example, in this microscope video that I made a long time ago, I am talking using a teleprompter, and often what I'll do is that I'll read off a take from the teleprompter, and then I'll think in my mind, oh, did I like that? Did I not like that? And if I don't like it, I'll just re-record it again, saying that exact line again. And then that brings us to our next tool, text-based editing. This is phenomenally helpful. I love this tool. Again, you can just select stuff in the timeline, hit delete. So if I take a bunch of takes of me saying the same thing, all I do is I just look for where the takes are the same, and then I delete everything off that's not the last take. You can also in here go and delete silences out of it super fast. You basically edit it like it's a Word document. The next of my workflow is some kind of AI-assisted B-roll help. I hate filming B-roll, so if there's any time where I can just not do that, I will do that preferentially. So in this case, I mean, I'm using buzz rolls for what I do these days mostly, but I also sometimes do use ChatGPT's image generation feature. All you do is you just go to chatgpt.com and then tell it you want an image of, a title card, you want an image of a man in a wolf costume on a transparent background. But importantly, ChatGPT's image generation can make transparent background images. This is massive if you're putting it inside of a video, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I usually just like download it straight up and then put it in my videos. But if you're doing a ton of image generation through ChatGPT, which is, by the way, through the API reasonably priced, it's about 12 to 15 cents per image that you create. So a lot more viable if you're doing like static image visuals in your B-roll, in which case, like if you do a lot of that, Chat Video Pro is definitely worth getting because they are using on the back end, they're actually using ChatGPT's image generation feature for the reasons that it makes transparent background images. So you can see here, this is why it's important that it's on a transparent background, is because you can you can overlay it into videos and do other stuff with that. So as an example of where I've used this in the past, I was making a video about ADHD strategies, and a lot of those strategies were like very hard to visualize things. So I ended up having basically this character was a dude in a furry costume doing all these like ADHD stuff, things like having a friend put a shock collar on them and then shocking them every time they get distracted, whatever. But the idea was that ChatGPT could keep character consistency. And so you could upload a reference image of the character, and then it would create images of him doing a bunch of different scenes or whatever, but keep the original character. No YouTube video would be complete without a clickbaity thumbnail, and that's why I'm recommending, if you haven't already somehow tried Google's Nano Banana model, give it a go. Here I'm on Gemini.com, hit create image. Give it a simple prompt here. We'll let it do its thing and see how good it ends up turning out. I would say Nano Banana is good for making, um, basically giving you inspiration, or just like you have an idea in your head, you kind of let it flesh out, you know, something or other. And then after that, you can also use ChatGPT image generation to make transparent background assets, which then you can ultimately pull into Photoshop or your video editor of choice and use those transparent background assets. In this case, for this thumbnail in this video, I didn't end up using any of that. But in this case, I did use the generative fill feature to make this, nice little gradient background. All right, that's it for this video. I'm going to take a dump. See you later.